Here they come.
What's up, folks?
We'll do video.
I see Jimmy. Hey.
Where are you at?
By the refrigerator.
You afraid to show your ugly face?
Yes. Well, you're the only one I see, Jimmy. This is high tech for me. Susie and Bobby just left. They said, I think I'm all right.
All right.
Hello. Who am I hearing?
What's up?
Hey, hey.
Is that Bubba Perry?
Oh, my. Hey, what's up, Cindy?
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Ask if he can see you.
Y'all see me?
I did.
Barely.
Uh-oh.
Good deal. Bubba?
Yo.
There it is. There it is.
I know, ain't it crazy?
That's crazy, man. They putting old pictures on there and everything, man.
Oh, yeah. You ain't one of them.
There we go.
Well, look, Miami
Well,
Dolphin, baby. Did they do
wow.
it or did they do it?
He was all hooked up. He had stuff hanging out of his ears and everything.
Don't really care for the picks, but hey, we'll see this fall if they play.
I think I might have rather had that Oregon quarterback.
It's
We'll
Alabama
see.
South now down there is what I
Yeah, no joke. No joke.
Y'all better act right. The old boss is in on here with us.
Oh, okay. I need to change my shirt. I need to put this.
Oh, looky there.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't it past his bedtime? Shouldn't he be getting some dinner and going to bed?
Hey,
That
got
he
the
had-
Bays on there. Look, he's already got.
Yeah, look, he got the
Texas colors.
Buccaneers on there.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's right.
Y'all know I'm not real brilliant here. Am I only seeing one person on here at a time? Hey, there's somebody. Hey, what's up?
If you look in the top right corner, it says speaker view, and you can click gallery view. And that's how you can see
I don't
almost
even see
everybody.
that.
That's
Okay,
too much
hold-
identification
okay,
for you, buddy.
hold on.
I can't believe Mr. Gronk is on here with his Tampa Bay stuff on, man.
I don't see
Oh.
it.
Hey, Josh Carmen, don't let him bash you.
What happened?
Oh, take your Boston stuff off, you Buccaneer
Hey,
guy.
I don't know how to do this. I don't have a gallery setting, so I'm just gonna be alone.
Bubba, look for the thing that looks like a square, a small square with a bunch of little squares in the middle of it. Like,
Yeah.
you see that?
Where's in the middle?
Well, now they went real little.
You probably see a bunch of them on the same page.
All of them gonna go in and out.
Hey, man, Uh-oh. I'm scrolling. There's 4 of you. Okay, hang on.
It just tells you who's there.
Okay.
Go ahead and talk about me, Jeremiah. At least I can get on the Zoom.
Oh. Hey, Jeremiah, don't take nothing off of him, man. We'll go paint his darn yard up.
Yeah, well, let me get the wife out here. Let's see how that one flies.
Well, get her over there.
Oh,
I love her.
Well,
Oh, that's right. We can't do that, Jeremiah, because his neighborhood will get on to him now, man.
I'm just gonna stay here where I can see Andrea. I don't want to look at the rest of y'all.
go ahead, Mike.
I'm just glad you're on there, Bubba.
Hey, but I got Andrea, Dallas. Well, hey, there's Miss Cindy and Keith. Okay. I only need 4 of you.
I've got I think we've got all the Parks Board members with us that are going to be here.
Okay.
There's somebody in the I just muted everybody for just a second. There's somebody in the waiting room with just the number 16152. I don't know who that would be. I think let's see, is Ryan Hunter on here? Oh, there's Jonathan Hayes. He's coming in. That's good. Is Ryan Hunter on here?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, just checking. Thank you. And Colby Collier, you're on here, right?
Correct.
And Josh Carmen's on here. So just a little instruction, I guess, Mr. Pike, you're gonna have to take charge of this thing here as the vice chairman.
No, I know I am. I saw the earlier email. Did he answer you? How's he doing?
Hasn't answered, just said thanks.
Okay.
And we've
Okay.
been praying, so.
All right. Well,
The
are
way
we ready, Andy?
every vote has to be a roll
Count?
call. We gotta
Okay.
go down the list and roll call it.
So when we get ready to roll call, do you want to call out the roll?
I don't mind doing that at all. I can
Okay.
do that.
All right. All right. So are we ready?
I think we're ready. Yes, sir.
All right. I guess we're going to call the Parks Board meeting on April 27th on a Monday to order. Can I get Mr. Nathan to pledge allegiance?
Yeah, he better.
Allegiance to the flag,
United States of America.
to the republic,
To the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
with
liberty, justice for all. Play ball.
Thank you, Mr. White. Appreciate
Yes,
that.
sir.
Do I have any citizens' comments? Mr. Bruce?
I don't believe
Any
we have any.
citizens' comments? None. All right.
Oh.
I don't guess. Hey,
No, they
welcome,
would have had,
Mo.
they would have had to gone to a meeting room,
Yeah.
Parks meeting room, yeah.
All right. Can I call for approval of the minutes?
I make a motion to approve.
Mr. Head makes a motion. Can I have a second?
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Who was that?
Nathan White.
Mr. White
Who was
seconded.
who was the motion?
Me,
Jimmy
Jimmy.
Head. And Mr. White made the second.
All right, and I'll call the roll here.
All right.
All in favor, say aye when I call your name. Mr. Head,
Aye.
Nathan White,
Aye.
Zach Zedegren,
Aye.
Aaron Frank,
Aye.
Jeremiah Bennett,
Aye.
Mike Pike,
Aye.
Ken Hessen, absent, P.A. Bowler,
Aye.
Bubba Perry.
Aye.
All right, all.
All right. So move on for the approval of minutes. Connect Committee report.
Mr. Pike, there was no Connect Committee report this past month due to the coronavirus. We'll look at trying to get that group together at some point here in the near future and try and get back on track with planning for the fall season.
Okay. All right. All right. So old business. Park project updates. Mr. Gilly.
Yes, sir. The rugby field is making progress. We're working on getting the power turned on so that they can run irrigation starting the month of May. That looks, everything's good on that. We've completed over the winter LED light installation. Several other just different projects on the winter list the maintenance guys have been able to get to over the past month, even with being kind of a split crew due to the virus. They've been able to knock a lot of things off. But we've concentrated a lot on things around the areas that the people have been using, like the greenway and things. I think they've done a great job maintaining the areas of the park while it's been open. They've, Mallard Point Boat Dock, they cleaned up a lot of debris there. Just really tried to concentrate on the areas where people are using them the most right now. And the athletic fields are probably in the best shape they've ever been in.
Yeah.
With nobody on them. So that's my report on that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gilly. Any questions? All right. Touch a Truck Helicopter, Andrea Weiss.
Hi, everyone. It's good to see you guys.
Hey.
I know when we met, I think it was in February, I brought to you guys a new event we're doing this year, the Touch a Truck, which you guys did approve. However, afterwards, it came to our attention that Vanderbilt Life Flight will be having a helicopter based out of Gallatin. So I reached out to them to see if they would be interested in being a part of this event. They sent back the registration that they will be available to do it. I've talked to Greg Miller with, I think it is Sumner County EMS, and he gave me the dimensions that they will need, along with what kind of area that will be required from us for the helicopter to land. I worked with Dallas on this, and we think we have a place where they can land. So I just wanted to bring it to you guys, to your attention. I guess maybe you need a vote on it. I don't know.
Yeah, the Parks Board's got to approve anything that applies in the park due with the city ordinance.
Okay.
All right. Where are you planning on landing it?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Dallas. Are we doing the football field?
Yeah, either the football field or that area where the stage is set up there, right outside the football field. Either one of those will work.
So, Dallas, they can drop it down right there between the lights, no problems at all.
Yeah. I believe they just need like 100 feet with nothing in their way, so that won't be a problem. The event itself is going to be held in that front football parking lot there, so that's where all the other vehicles will be. So yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. Are you through, Ms. Wise? You got anything else to add?
Nope, I'm done unless you guys have questions.
The only thing I was going to add was that it'll fly in pre-event, and then it won't take off again until post-event. So there won't, it won't be in flight at any point during the event.
So they'll wait till everybody's out of the park, all the kids are away, everything.
Yeah,
so
that's correct. Yeah.
Are there any questions for Ms. Watts before we vote? Okay, I take that as a no. I will entertain a motion to vote to have the helicopter come down in this. Be present.
A motion to approve.
Second.
Jeremiah, and who seconds it?
Jimmy.
Jimmy. All right, Jeremiah Bennett first, and Jimmy Head second. Andy.
Got it.
Before we go by, I want to tell Ms. Wise, I appreciate your work on this, Ms. Wise. I think it's a cool event.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm excited for it. Hopefully we can get it to go by then.
All right, Mr. Andy, let's just take the roll here.
Okay. All in favor, say aye when I call your name. Mr. Head.
Aye.
Mr. White.
Aye.
Mr. Frank.
Aye.
Mr. Bennett.
Aye.
Mr. Pike.
Aye.
Mr. Bowler.
Aye.
Mr. Perry.
Aye.
There you go.
Hey, Andy, I got a question?
Sure.
I would probably just send an email to the Corps of Engineers, just so that they know we're going to land a helicopter in the park. They've let us do it before. Let us do it at Saunders Ferry Park about 2 years ago. They're okay with it as long as they know it's coming in. They don't want any surprises probably on Corps property.
So that won't be an issue, you don't think, Dave? That won't be an issue?
Yeah, it shouldn't be. Like I said, we've landed one before.
Okay. All right. All right. I guess the ayes have it. That's great. Good job, Andrew. All right, CPR training, Mr. Gilly.
I'm going to defer to Mr. Long on that. He can
Yeah.
explain what we think we need to do on that.
Yeah, it might be a moot point at this point. We were going to ask for y'all's blessing to kind of waive the remainder CPR trainings for our spring leagues for this year. Most leagues that still needed to complete their CPR trainings have decided to cancel their spring seasons. I think the only league or two that's still looking to have a league that's already completed everything. But we had about 6 classes that still needed to be conducted, and with all of our meeting rooms closed and trying not to pass around the CPR dummies and breathing on those and touching those, we thought it'd probably be the safest thing to do is if we do go back to having spring seasons, not going through with the remainder of those CPR classes. We felt the majority of all coaches and assistant coaches had already completed it. Like I said, pretty much all Civ TNS canceled, rec soccer is canceled. The only thing that's pretty much outstanding still is Tennessee United. They still want to have some kind of activity this summer, and they had already completed all their training. And I think hockey's still in the loop of trying to have a season. So,
question, Mr. Long, are we already, when fall rolls around, like football and basketball, have we already did those for those sports last year, or will we have to do this for them?
It's basically it depends on each coach and when they completed their training. So I'm sure we will have some coaches this fall that will need to be CPR certified or trained, and that might be something that we need to look at as we get closer to fall and figuring out where we are with this coronavirus.
All right. Well, I guess my question, Mr. Long, Mr. Gilly, are you okay with deciding this in-house, or would you prefer us to vote on this?
I think for now we can leave it alone until we see where we are in the fall. If we end up in a situation where we can't get things done and need y'all to do something, I think we're okay for now.
Yeah, I'm good with it. All right. Any questions for Mr. Long before we go on, guys? All right. New business. Spencer Bristol softball tournament. Matt Lee.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can
everybody hear him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, guys. My name's Matt Lee. Work for the police department. We're just wanting to put on a softball tournament for first responders to benefit the family of our fallen officer, Spencer Bristol. We were looking at doing it on October 3rd. I met with Keith and Dallas and Andy, a couple of guys there at the Parks Department, and talked with them about some ideas and some dates, and we kind of nailed this one down as a potential date that would work well for us and give us some time to line things up. But hoping to do a 16-team one-day tournament on that Saturday, October 3rd. We think 4 fields will be enough for us to do that, and hopefully be able to raise some money for the family, and also be a good time for our guys to just kind of come together, build some camaraderie, and just time to, kind of help the grieving process by getting out and hitting the snot out of some softballs.
My question, Matt, is it just police officers doing this, police officer teams?
So our idea is for it to be first responders in the area. That would include fire departments and EMS. We wanted to open up a team to City Hall. So many of you guys there were really, really good to us when we were going through a really hard time. And I think if we could get you guys out there to play with us, it'd just be that much better. So other than City Hall, then yeah, it was pretty much just going to be first responders beside that.
All right. I think that's a great idea. Has anybody got any questions?
Mike, this is PA Bowler.
Yes, PA.
I'd like for us to waive any fee associated with this, if there is one.
Would there be a fee, Andy, of any kind?
Not if you vote to waive it.
Well, all right. You're making a motion, right, Mr. Bowler?
Yes, that's correct.
Do I have a
move
second?
to approve.
I second.
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Bowler, I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Announce your proposal again.
Yes, so I'm making a motion to approve the softball tournament and to waive any city park fees for the event.
Mr. Bowler makes the motion. Mr. Head seconded. Any more discussion? All right, Mr. Gilly, take roll.
Mr. Head.
Aye.
Mr. White.
Aye.
Mr. Zettergren.
Aye.
Mr. Frank.
Aye.
Mr. Bennett.
Aye.
Mr. Pike.
Aye.
Mr. Bowler.
Aye.
Mr. Perry.
Aye.
All.
All right, it passes. Mr. Lee, I think it's a great idea. I really do. And I applaud y'all for doing it. I think it'll help y'all. I think it may help the city, the ones that are close to the first responders, heal a little bit through a tragic incident that happened. If I can help any way, I'll be happy to.
Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you very much, guys. We appreciate all the outpouring of support that we've received from everyone in the city, but especially those that we work with. You guys up at City Hall have been great to us. So many people that have just treated us like family. Dave, that's a great looking hat you got on, by the way, brother. Just want to let you know.
Don't suck up to him, Mr. Lee, please.
Oh, hey,
Mr.
he's got a lot
Dave,
of flaws, but that red hat he's wearing is beautiful. I'll tell you what.
before you go somewhere,
color
Mr. Lee,
anyway.
Mr. Dave, you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah, Matt came by a few weeks ago and we talked about the tournament, and I told him I'd get with the official association, and those of us guys that umpire, we'll umpire for free. I'll get enough guys rounded up. We'll do the umpiring, so there won't be umpire costs. So all the money will go toward Spencer's family.
That's awesome. Thank you, Mr. Lamar. I appreciate that.
Hey,
Very
Dave,
much.
Dave, I was going to say, Dave, this Nathan White, it put me on that list.
Hey, you're on the list. Don't worry, buddy.
I know I'm on several lists, but I'll donate my time to that.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Lee, I appreciate what you do. I appreciate all the first responders, especially in times like this, like that we're going through right now. Like I said, anything I can do, I'll be glad to help.
Mr.
That's
Chairman.
fantastic, guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate everything.
Hey, Matt,
Yes,
before you get off here, I think Keith sent it to you, but just so this group knows as well, Ken Crook, who runs a lot of large fast pitch tournaments, has offered his time to help you guys with scheduling any way you need it. And also he said he would like to see us do a fast pitch tournament, which would generate a whole lot more revenue for you guys.
Yeah.
Next
I
fall,
think that's a fantastic idea.
2021. So I think you could get with him and he'd be all in on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I don't pretend to really know what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. So any help I can get would be great. And I know Keith and Andy, Dallas, you guys have already spoken to me a bunch about helping me get the ball rolling on some stuff. Hopefully we'll get things under control with this virus soon and we can really start putting some of our plans in motion. But yeah, any help that we can get is great. And we're just very, very thankful. Dave, thank you for setting up umpires for us. We appreciate every single bit of it, guys. And it's going for as good a cause as I could possibly imagine.
Hey, Mr. Lee, sometime reach out to me. You can get my number, my cell phone number from Andy. I got something else I want to talk to you about.
Okay, sure. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. I'm going to hop off here.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. Next is the Wish Cup Roller Hockey Tournament. Kobe Collier.
Yes, sir.
I say right, Kobe?
Yes, sir. You did.
All right. All right. Go ahead, Kobe. You can.
Yeah, so a brief overview. My son is a Wish kid. In the 18-19 season, Make-A-Wish, Preds Foundation, and the Nashville Predators all granted his wish to be a Nashville Predator for the day. He got to, practice with the team, be a part of the team for a couple of days, attend a game. He had an absolute blast with it. We have been, my wife and I as a family have been looking for some avenue to be able to give back to that organization so that we can help grant other kids' wishes. On May 16th, we're doing the first annual Wish Cup Ice Tournament out at Fort Ice Center. And then we're proposing for August 1st to do the first annual Wish Cup Roller Tournament out at Veterans Park. All proceeds from the event would be donated directly to the Middle Tennessee Make-A-Wish chapter in order to be able to grant other kids' wishes.
Okay. Have I got any questions? Andy, Keith, do you have anything to add to this?
Just a couple. Is it all strictly adults, or are you going to have some kids in there too playing?
We were going to go 18 and up for the first year, so adults for the first tournament.
And what we would do is, if it gets approved tonight, once we get closer to the end, get with me, and we'll make sure the concession stand is open with the local league people, and they'll probably work out a deal with you there too. The local hockey league, the Inline Association, runs the concession stand. We'll make sure we get that taken care of too for you.
Okay, great.
All right. Mr. Gilly, you got anything?
No, I just checked the mailbox last week and this application was in it. So I appreciate Colby bringing it to us, and glad we got a facility that can host something like this. Hopefully one day we'll have an even better one.
Okay. Yes, I second that. Yes. Any more questions from anybody? All right, I'll entertain a motion for this.
I really like to motion this one here. I'd like to motion this. It's Bubba.
All right.
Approve this thing on the first. That sounds great.
Bubba is the first. Do I have a second?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Head second. So Andy, that's Bubba first, and Mr. Head second.
I got it.
All
Mr.
right.
Pike,
Yes.
Mr. PA,
Yes. Hello?
Yeah. I'm wanting. I'm wanting. I guess I'm not wanting us to commit in a time where I guess I just want us to acknowledge that the event could be canceled based on more of this Corona stuff.
Okay. Mr. Gilly, would we need to make a motion to include that we would have it based on how the Corona goes, or?
I mean, you can, I think you could include that in your motion, but we're going to have the event as long as health restrictions allow it at the time. But I mean, we got a whole year full of events already on the books, so it could be canceled.
Okay.
So,
Well, I tell you what, Mr. Perry, would you like to restate your motion? Would that include?
I make a motion to approve the Wish Cup with the assumption that everything's over with the virus. Absolutely. Yes.
And Mr. Head, you still second it?
Correct.
All right. So I guess we're ready to take the roll, Andy.
okay. Mr. Head,
Aye.
Mr. White,
Aye.
Mr. Zettergren,
Aye.
Mr. Frank, Mr. Frank,
Frank's muted.
He's
Aye.
muted.
Aye.
Mr. Bennett,
Aye.
Mr. Pike,
Aye.
Mr. Bowler,
Aye.
Mr. Perry.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you. All right, well, let's move on to the Hunters Lake Reynolds, Ryan Hunter.
Thank you, Colby.
Thank you guys very much for taking the time to look at this. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Kobe. I'm sorry I didn't say that. I'm
No
sorry.
worries. Thank you guys. Hope you have a great evening.
All right, so Hunters Lake Reynolds, Ryan Hunter.
Yeah, my name's Ryan Hunter, and I've got with me my brother and business partner, Jack Hunter, and we have started a lake rental business for the city of Hendersonville, where we're going to be renting pontoon boats, kayaks, and paddle boards. And I've been in talks with Mr. Gilly about getting permission and okay from all you guys to set up at Memorial Park to rent kayaks and paddle boards out of Memorial Park, as well as Veterans Park and any other of the parks around Hendersonville. Me and my brother grew up in this town, and we think it's a great idea for everybody to really enjoy it. As you've probably seen, there's a whole lot of people kayaking right now. And we thought it would be a good idea if we could set up just a truck and a trailer at Memorial Park and launch people with kayaks and paddleboards from there, and do a float from Veterans Park all the way down through past behind Sam's, the ballpark, and through the volleyball courts, that whole little waterway. So that's what we're proposing, and asking if that would be something that we could get permission to do.
I guess my question would be this. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. Keith and Andy, Keith or Andy, either one, how would A1, we do it, handle the money part of it, and B, the insurance part of it?
Well,
would that be the insurance more so than anything, I would think.
insurance, you'd have to have the city of Hendersonville held harmless. The money,
Okay.
I would think you would treat it like a concession stand.
Okay.
Where currently, I think you guys, Mr. Head, can help me with that. 7.5% of sales go back to the city. Is that right?
That's correct.
Of
Okay.
gross sales.
And then I also, in talking with Mr. Hunter, told him it would probably be a good idea if he offered to share some of his profits with groups that would use the parks for park improvements or something like that. Being at Memorial Park, it could have maybe, I don't know, it could go to tennis. I don't really know that. Lacrosse, something else. I don't know.
Okay.
This is
Do we need
kind of,
before? I guess going forward, if we're going to make a proposal on this, would we need paperwork first? This stuff filled out first before we could make a motion on this?
And real quick, I can provide, we've got our city business license, our county business license, our minor home occupation permit, and I've got a rental agreement that has been approved by our insurance company's lawyers that takes all liability off us, and I can add the city of Hendersonville as well and provide all that documentation to you if needed.
Okay.
my question, Mr. Chairman, for Mr. Hunter, is this, are you already operating anywhere else in the city with the business?
No, I'm technically running the business out of my home, but all our business transactions are typically over the phone with our pontoon boats. The only other business transaction would be with the kayaks and paddle boards at the park with a Bluetooth chip reader or cash. And I've talked to my brother here, and we both agreed that we'd be more than happy to donate 10% of all of our revenue to the parks department or wherever we need to help keep the parks clean and maintained as well.
My question, hey, Dave, do we need to do anything with the Corps on this at all?
Yeah, Andy just sent me a text, and I probably give you a little history lesson. We had paddle boats back in the late 80s and 90s.
I remember, yes.
And it got to be liability. People got stolen. We had city employees. We paid people in summertime to go and supervise and take care of that. So all the monies came into the Parks Department. It's just one of those things that went away. It just it was not as popular as it was at that time. And then, like I said, the damage to the boats, flood hit in 2010, and we just kind of program just went away just because we didn't have any more boats and or we didn't have a whole lot of people using them. We had a few a day, but it just wasn't enough to keep staff on altogether. But yeah, the Corps of Engineers needs to know, since it is going to be on the lake, to get approval from them. Again, it's just probably a letter, Andy, from you to the Corps of Engineers at Rockland Road, asking them for permission to Parks Board to approve this company to do that. Sounds like they have the insurance and that coverage. Logistics about where you guys put them in, we'll have to work that out with the Parks Department. But I'm just a few things you need to cover your tracks before you guys get approval, probably.
Right. I've been in talks with the Corps of Engineers just to kind of, like you say, cover my butt. And the response I got that I guess if we are doing business transactions on Corps land or government-owned land, there would be a Corps charge. And I've got a string of emails of a conversation I've had with them, because I explained that we were going to be renting boats, but the boats would be done, the transactions are over the phone. They said, no, you wouldn't owe us anything for that. But I can double check with them about actually doing business transactions on the city land or Corps land. And I can forward that over to Mr. Gilly if need be.
Yeah, Andy's going to have to get permission from the Corps, from Fire Department, since we've got the contract with the Corps on the property.
Okay.
Am I understanding you right, Mr. Hunter? There won't be any equipment left there overnight. Y'all would be bringing it in, setting up for a time period, renting them, then taking it out.
Correct. The plan is getting there around, say, 9-10 o'clock in the morning-ish, with a truck and a single trailer that holds 10 kayaks and about 4 paddle boards. And we would just sit right there, and if anybody wanted to rent them, we rent them. Then we'd pack up at the end of the day, and we'd remove all of our equipment.
And then you said you'd be willing to donate 10% of the revenue. Is that in addition to the 7.5 that that you already would have to pay.
Well, the 7.5 plus, I guess, additional, we were going to round it up to 10% because we really feel like this is a great idea. But if there seems to be a need to, you know, add some, we could work that out, because I'm definitely an advocate for keeping the parks cleaned and maintained, because I love using the parks, the greenways, and you know, and everything. So that is, we can negotiate.
Hey, Andy, do you think we, or Dave, do we need to get Mr. Bradley involved and look at having a contract written up similar to what we have for our leagues and facilities?
That was going to be what I think we need to do.
Yeah.
Ryan, what I think we need to do, and it's probably would be the best thing for everybody, is if we don't necessarily vote on this right this minute, but give us till our meeting next month, which could be, we'll probably have to change the date because the fourth Monday is Memorial Day. But give us time to get a contract done, get core permission, and get everything, all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, and then let these folks make a formal vote on it.
That sounds good to me. I have no problem with that at all.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, did anybody else have any questions for them?
Yeah, I've got, Mr. Chairman, one thing I wanted to say is obviously the 7.5% with the concessions, but I really would like to see them partner with a group. And I think Mr. Gilly alluded to either tennis or lacrosse, which don't have many opportunities to partner with somebody. And being in that area, I would really like to see them partner with somebody that they could provide some assistance to them and park improvements on that side of the park, and have an opportunity to partner with somebody that could benefit from this.
And I think
would agree.
I think we can write that up in the contract somehow over the next month. Figure out what would be best.
Hey, Andy, let me propose something to you, and what about if we do that, but we do a split between tennis and lacrosse? And I know we're splitting money, but they're both there. I've been part of both of them. It helps both of them over there. Even though you're splitting the money, it's not like picking one. We try to help both groups.
Well, I think it's possible. We'll just over the next month try to figure it out. That's
okay.
I think that's the best route.
All right. So, Mr. Hunter, we'll plan on seeing you back when Andy sets the date, and let's just get all of our I's dotted and our T's crossed.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Michael, one quick question for Mr. Hunter.
Yes.
Just going to make sure on the insurance, most tournaments or people we do, there's like $1 million policy that holds the city as additional insured. We would need something like that. Not only just saying, we won't hold you liable, but we'll actually need some kind of money dollar amount on that. Do you all have a policy, an amount of how much you're covered for liability?
I do. I don't have the details right in front of me. Like I said, we're just have started this, but I can get that information to where we can do that, and I can provide that to you.
Yeah, if you could, that would help us in the next month. If you could give us something, saying that how much the policy is and that the city would be covered as an additional insured.
Keith,
Okay.
it's up to $1 million is what it would need to be.
Right. I thought it was $1 million was our sort of our deal.
Yep. A CUI naming the city as additionally insured up to $1 million is what we would need.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Bruce, Mr. Long, Mr. Hunter. We'll just plan on seeing you back then.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to Tennis Code of Conduct, Mr. Brandon Jones.
Mr. Chairman, Parks Board, good evening. Basically just proposing a pretty simple behavior contract. Honestly, we've had maybe 3 issues over the 18 plus years I've been there, and they've been pretty minor. Ultimately, we're just trying to really follow today's day and age protocol with what to do with the situation on court, just so we've got all areas covered.
All right. Anybody, I think it's a great idea, Brandon. Anybody have any questions for Brandon? Mr. Gilly, Mr. Bruce, Mr. Long, anything?
That looks good to me.
Yep.
Do we need to make a motion on this? I'm assuming.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. White, anybody second it? I'll second
I'll
it.
second.
All right, Mr. Bennett seconds. All right, let's take a roll call, Mr. Gilly.
Mr. Head? There you go. Mr. Head?
He's muted.
I'm
Thank
gonna unmute him. Let's see here. Okay.
All right, I'm there. Sorry, somehow my phone got.
Mr. White?
Aye.
Mr. Zettergren?
Aye.
Mr. Frank?
Aye.
Mr. Bennett?
Aye.
Pike?
Aye.
Mr. Bowler?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
All right, Brandon, it passes. Thank you very much, buddy.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate it.
All right. All right, full count college team, Josh Cameron. Is it Cameron? Carmen? Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Parks Board, and Mr. Gilly. Appreciate y'all taking the time to have me tonight. My name is Josh Carmen. I'm the Director of Baseball for Full Count Ministries. And we are a high school and college baseball ministry here locally, based out of the city of Hendersonville. And we have signed on and own a franchise in the Ohio Valley Collegiate Summer Baseball League. And we are proposing to make that franchise's home field, Field 3 at Drake Creek, beginning in the summer of 2021. So the plan would be that Full Count Ministries would own the franchise and Full Count Baseball managing all the aspects of that franchise, including the player recruitment, the fundraising, the logistics, promotion, host family placement, game day operation, the team staff hiring, volunteer involvement, etc. So our wish is that the Parks Board would grant us permission to rent Drakes Creek Field 3.
Okay. First, anybody have any questions?
I do.
All right.
A couple.
Mr. Frank?
Yeah, Mr. Frank here. Just a couple of things. As far as renting it and calling it the home field, is that like an indefinite first right of refusal? Is there a defined season or a certain specific number of dates? Because that field is used by other teams and so forth. How would that work with other groups? Just trying to get a feel for the specifics of what's being asked.
So the schedule is made by the Ohio Valley League. Roughly 20 to 22 home games, and then of course 20 to 22 away games. All of their games are played at night, beginning at 6 o'clock. The league would work through making adjustments with events going on in the park and with the parks department. So there could be rescheduling. We would wish that it would be an indefinite partnership with the Hendersonville Parks Department and or the Hendersonville High School baseball program, to where that would be our quote unquote home field for the foreseeable future until we possibly build our own stadium, if you will. But I don't think we're interested in building a big stadium in the city. So our plan would be to partner with the city and the Hendersonville High School baseball program to pay the field rental. I've spoken to Mr. Gilly about a price for the field for the 20 games. And that money would be turned over for them to do stadium improvements, field improvements, whatever you wish to do with it. But for the immediate future, it would be our home field for the 2021 season and moving forward.
Hey, Mr. Frank, one thing I'd like to add is that this really wouldn't conflict with any of our programs. The only thing that we have going on in the summertime are events and tournaments. But as far as our organized leagues and such, this would kind of be in between our spring and our fall season. So I think we would have some room to fit this in there as well from a schedule standpoint.
Yeah. And so this is PA. Is this more of a summer league? Yeah.
Yes, this is basically it's amateur baseball. It's a college wood bat summer league that's sponsored by the NCAA. It's part of the National Baseball Congress. It's a legit league, and it's played like a semi-pro baseball franchise and league. So it would be owned and ran in that manner.
What we had talked about just for the park, Mr. Chairman, if I can for just a second.
Yes, go ahead.
When it comes to the field rental fee amounts, the way we do so many projects in the park is we'll get with groups like this and identify projects that need to be done for field improvements and things like that. And we let this group work with the vendor along with us to where they can pay their share to the vendor sometimes. That's been the best way to do that rather than try to route money through the city and all that stuff. It's worked out really good to have partnerships with people that are using the fields for different things when they want to do improvements. Give you an example, Full Count Ministries in the fall has the fall league that they run, and they just pay to have certain field improvements done rather than us charging them field rental fees.
So so in other words, we pick what we want done, and then they run it through the vendor, and that particular thing's done.
Yeah, and usually, the city will have a share in the project, and sometimes other clubs too.
Okay. Any more questions? I have one question, and Mr. Head may need to. I don't know. How is the concessions going to work on that?
I think we've talked about letting whoever runs the concessions now run it, and we would not mess with it.
So that means Andy, that means we would get full concession on that, right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
All right. Any more questions besides Mr. Franks? Are you through, Mr. Franks? I'm sorry.
I'm good.
All right. Any more questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have just a couple of things. Just curiosity.
Right. Go ahead.
Where will the coaches come from for this? Are they doing the college coaches or?
Yeah, we're gonna hire coaches. Tentatively scheduled to be our first head coach is Kenny Thomas from the University of South Carolina Aiken. Unless things change with his wife's health, he's from here, from this area, and he's shown interest in being our first head coach. The other two coaches, maybe Andy Gilly and myself. No, but probably two graduate assistants, possibly from Belmont and Lipscomb.
And then the only other question I had is on looking through the budget, the player deposits. I'm assuming that is this like summer league that they've done since they were probably 8 years old. They pay to be a part of this.
Correct. The Ohio Valley League has a $600 mandated player fee that cannot be waived nor scholarship or the NCAA. So the $21,000 shown for the player deposits is the 35-man roster times $600.
Thank you. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right. Is anybody else got any questions?
I just got one question, Mr. Chairman. Hey,
okay.
Josh, we all gonna try to do something this summer or next summer?
It would not start till the summer of 20 and 21. They've already canceled the season for 2020 due to the coronavirus.
Okay, so this will be next June.
We would start players report Memorial Day weekend. from all over the country to their host families. So it will start Memorial Day weekend, and the league runs through the first week of August. And
Okay, sounds good.
Mr. Chairman, I did, that made me think of one other thing is
All right,
if
Mr.
it's
White, go ahead.
Memorial Day weekend, and I mean, Mr. Gilly and Mr. Longwig speak to this, is we're looking at 20 to 22 games. You say they are at night, but you didn't say the specific days or the days they try to avoid. I mean, if that's the case, I mean, I know there are a lot of tournaments on Field 3 throughout the summer. How would that
I can speak to that a little
work
bit.
together?
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, but I believe the franchise gets to send the league their open home dates first and foremost. Then if there are some dates that we need to, let's just say we have a tournament from Thursday till Sunday going on, we'll be able as a staff here to tell the tournament, hey, look, you can use the field from 9 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, but then we got a college league game at night. We already do that sometimes with other things going on. The good thing about Field 3 is most of the tournaments that we do have are usually played during the day, especially during the week.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any more questions? All right. I will entertain a motion. Anybody stating a motion?
I motion to approve.
Jeremiah Bennett is the first. Do I have a second?
Second, PA.
Who is this, PA or
PA,
Bubba?
yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, so we got Jeremiah as the first and PA is the second. Mr. Gilly, take the roll.
Mr. Head?
Aye.
Mr. White?
Aye.
Mr. Zettergren?
Aye.
Mr. Frank?
Aye.
Mr. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Pike?
Aye.
Mr. Bowler?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
All right. Josh, thank you.
thank you guys. Have a good night.
Okay, you
Thanks,
too.
Josh.
Hey, Josh.
Bye-bye.
All right. Inline hockey sponsorship, Dave Gillum.
They have, they're going to put that off till we have a little more definition about when their season might start, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gilly. All right. I guess for your information, special events list, everybody can look at that. All right. On the staff reports.
Mr. Chairman, hold on.
Yes. Yes.
I sent you guys an email earlier today that we needed to add to the agenda of the athletic committee. Report.
Okay.
So
All right. I don't know if I can find it or not. Let me see.
I can read it out if I need to.
All right, go ahead and read it out, Mr. Gilly.
Well, we probably need a motion to add this to the agenda under new business, athletic committee recommendations for discipline.
I make a motion that we add that to the agenda.
All right, Mr.
second.
Head. Who seconded?
Darren, Frank.
Mr. Franks, all right. Mr. Gilly, take the roll.
Mr. Head,
Aye.
Mr. White,
Aye.
Mr. Zettergren,
Aye.
Mr. Frank,
Aye.
Mr. Bennett,
Aye.
Pike,
Aye.
Bowler,
Aye.
Mr. Perry.
Aye.
The athletic committee met on March 31st and came up with 3 recommendations to be added to the parks handbook as regards to discipline. I don't know, we could probably do these all at once. I don't know if there becomes any discussion on individual ones, we could break them out, I guess. But it'd be a lot easier to do them all at once. Here were the 3 recommendations, Mr. Chairman, from the athletic committee.
All right.
Number 1 was to be put in place for all basketball leagues. Is any player or coach receiving a total of 2 technical fouls in a season will be suspended for the next game they are scheduled to participate in following the conclusion of the game they are participating in. Should a player or coach receive 2 technical fouls in the same game, he or she will be ejected from the current game and suspended for at least one game following at the discretion of the park staff. Any player or coach who had previously been suspended for receiving 2 technical fouls and subsequently receives a 3rd technical in a season will be suspended for 2 games he or she is scheduled to compete in following the game in which he or she is currently competing. What that means is basically we will have a list throughout the season. Just like the NBA, a person builds up 1, 2, then they're going to sit out a game. If that makes sense.
Yes.
The next thing is any player or coach who had previously been suspended for receiving a 3rd technical foul in a season and subsequently receives a 4th technical foul will be dismissed from the league for the remainder of the season. That was the first recommendation.
Okay.
The second recommendation was for just a high school basketball league. I guess maybe you want to see if there's any discussion on that first one.
Yeah, we'll ask. Is there anybody got any discussion, any questions for the first one? All right. Go ahead, Mr. Gillum.
This is for just the high school basketball league. If a player or coach is given a technical foul in a game, that technical foul will be considered as applying to the entire team for that game. Only the individual who receives the first technical foul of the game will have that technical foul go on their record for disciplinary action in the Parks Department. In other words, the individual who actually receives the technical, that'll go on our list that builds up over the year, even though it counts toward everybody. Should any player or coach on the same team receives a subsequent technical foul, that player or coach will be considered to receive their second technical foul of the game and will be ejected for the remainder of the contest. If that is only the first technical assessed to that player or coach for that game, he or she will not be subject to the automatic ejection suspension in the athletic policy. So,
all right, any discussion on that one? All right, go ahead, Mr. Gilley.
The third recommendation has to do for all athletic leagues across the board, basketball, baseball, football, whatever it is. Spectators entering the area of an athletic contest before, during, or after the contest and or spectators who are ejected from any event may be subject to suspension, dismissal, and or banishment from parks activities pending investigation by the Parks Department staff.
And that would go on your list too, like a compiling list. Am I correct?
Yes, we definitely would keep up with that.
Okay. Any questions on that one, guys?
This is PA again.
Yes.
Those recommendations seem to be very well thought out and you have my support.
All right. So I think we can make a motion for all of them at one time, Andy. Do you think?
I think you could group them together and vote them all in at once.
All right. Is there any more questions at all? All right. I will entertain a motion to group all 1, 2, and 3 together, I guess. That's the way we need to word it.
Hey,
PA, are you going to make that motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the to approve the 3 recommendations.
All right. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. White? Was that right?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. All right. All right. I guess we'll call the roll, Andy.
Mr. Head?
Aye.
Mr. White?
Aye.
Mr. Zettergren?
Aye.
Mr. Frank?
Aye.
Mr. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Pike?
Aye.
Mr. Bowler?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
All right. That passes. Good job, Rec Athletic Committee. I think that is going to go a long way to help the problem we occurred this last season. So hopefully that'll get the message to everybody, I hope.
I've got a quick question
Sure,
now that
right.
it's passed, and that would be the communication out to those leagues. Will that fall on coaches? Will that fall on how will we ensure that everybody is aware of that change, particularly to basketball leagues?
We will notify all the league directors once it's done in the handbook. And then the biggest thing will be, especially for basketball, at the preseason coaches meeting.
Yep.
We make sure that gets out.
Go get them, Mr. Bruce.
Yeah, that'll be some discussions with Civitan. Yes, quite a bit.
All right. So I think we're moving on to staff reports then. Miss Hamlin.
Have to unmute myself. I've been working just on keeping in touch with the Raptors group. Obviously, no Raptors baseball this year. We're looking at a possibility of maybe doing a really condensed kickball season, but that's not looking promising. Summer program is on hold at this time. We're the minimum that we would think we could do would be to do like care packages that we might drop off at their houses with like coloring pages and activities that they can do. And then the maximum would be face-to-face. We would normally start June 8th. We definitely cannot do June 8th for face-to-face, I don't think. So we would probably start with a care package and maybe by June 22nd move to the face-to-face camp, depending on how things are at that point once we pass June 1st and see where we stand. The preschool track meet will be on October 18th. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Any questions?
All right. Ms. Hamlin, any questions, anybody? All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Hamlin. Appreciate it. All right. Recreation Coordinator, Mr. Evans.
What's going on? Two quick things. We do have a team that is going to play in the Babe Ruth League. We've been talking with the communities. Once we are allowed to do some type of sports playing, whether it be groups of 10 or 25, they are ready whenever they're given the green light. So that will at least happen. Our other in-house leagues are on hold or have been canceled for now. But we decide, first time doing this, we actually have a Madden league. So we got 8 teams right now, 8 guys. So it'll be our first time. Everybody's going to play everybody one time, and then we'll do a tournament. So just something a little bit different. Esports are definitely on the rise. Currently, right now, it's like number one. It's like 1,000% increase in usage. So we're hitting a community that probably doesn't necessarily come to the parks, but I still consider it sports. It's something fun. So we're going to start that up. I got my last sign up today, so I'll start that up at the end of the week.
Any questions? I think that's pretty awesome, Mr. Evans. I appreciate your creativity.
Appreciate that.
All right.
So I'm here for. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. All right, Special Events Program Supervisor, Andrea Weiss.
It's me again. Obviously, events and tournaments have been either canceled or postponed until June 1st at this time. I've been in contact with a lot of the events that have been canceled, wanting to see if they want to reschedule. And then at this time, the fishing rodeo is still up in the air as of today. I've been in contact with my contact at TWRA, and last week he told me that they have canceled all fishing rodeos, but then he told me today that somebody else told him that they're still contemplating still having it. But he's going to let me know one way or the other if they do have it. Should they decide to cancel it, he did say that it's okay for us to have our own fishing rodeo for those children under the age of 13 who do not need a fishing license. However, he wasn't sure if we did that, if they could supply us with the fish. So he's going to let me know about that as well. And then the only other thing is we are meeting tomorrow with police department, fire department, half marathon, and the beach cross country in regards to the half marathon and the cross country huge meet. They're both on the same day, September 12th. So we're going to meet tomorrow and talk about what we can do to resolve that and fix those issues. So that's what's going on in the event world right now.
All right, anybody have questions for Ms. Wise? Thank you as always, Ms. Wise, for your dependability there. All right, Assistant Maintenance Supervisor, Jeremy. Andy, are you giving that, or is Jeremy?
Yeah, I'll give that. Those guys, just so y'all know, the maintenance guys today and tomorrow, they're working 10-hour days to try to get ahead of the mowing, so that they're going to work less on Wednesday, coming in late, because it's supposed to rain all day Wednesday. You know, it's been a challenge for them. We've split the shifts into groups of about 10, and then only a couple of part-time guys on the weekend. They've really worked hard. They've communicated well together. And we did that. We did that because of having so many people in a bunched up space during this time when we need to be spreading people out. That's why that happened. We've had members of the community step up and buy our staff lunches. We've got 2 different people this week buying lunches for our staff down there, and those guys have never missed a beat. They have not complained about being considered essential, so to speak. They've done everything they could do to keep that place looking as good as it possibly could. And if you get a chance to thank them, go down there. And several of you are down there a lot, and some of you not as much. But get down there and pat those guys on the back from 6 feet away, I guess, and tell them they've done a good job, because we've had people in the park in different areas from everywhere over this last month because of them, we've been able to keep it open. So I appreciate all our maintenance guys.
Any questions for anybody?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
while we're on that subject, I'm down there walking quite a bit, and I got to tell you, those guys are working hard, and they're really taking advantage of this time. And the place looks great. It looks great, and it's going to be ready for when this all gets opened back up. These guys have done a tremendous job of the way things look down there, and I can't wait for it to open back up.
Well, my daughter has been telling me, my oldest daughter, she's home taking classes online. Of course, UTC is, doing all the classes online, and she's been walking in the mornings down there and says the park looks absolutely gorgeous down there. So I will try to get by sometime and thank those guys. They do a thankless job. They don't get as much thank you as they should. They get praises from us, but everybody who walks in that park and uses that park should thank them every day. So I thank you, Mr. White, for pointing that out. And please tell them for us, since they can't hear us on TV, Andy, that we do see it and we do thank them. So
I will tell them.
All right. Assistant Director, Mr. Long. Mr. Long, are you there?
Sorry, I was muted. I already touched on this a little bit a while ago about our spring sports, but I'll give you a little further rundown here. Civitan has canceled all their spring sports for this year, and rec soccer has also canceled. Tennessee United is still hopeful that we'll get to be able to have something this summer. And they're looking at possibly doing an internal summer league for Tennessee United. Lacrosse is looking to have a final get-together game for all their seniors that are going out. So they're hopeful to get something together, I think, later this summer as well. We've canceled all the adult sports, adult basketball, kickball, and softball for the spring season. Several big tournaments that have been rescheduled. The Hendersonville High School 3v3 tournament, that has been moved to July 18th weekend. The Big Lacrosse America tournament that we had last year, they've moved that to the July 4th, 5th weekend. And Tennessee United is rescheduled their tournament for June 27th, 28th. So we're hopeful we'll be able to have all those tournaments. The one new tournament this year was the Rec Soccer Friendship Cup, which is the big state tournament. We're not sure what the status of that is right now. It sounds like that's going to be pushed back, and our rec club is looking at possibly hosting that in the fall time if possible. So we've been in conversations on what we're going to do as far as that. And then some of you may have heard, some of you may not, but Hendersonville High School Soccer has named Coach Plummer's replacements, which is Miss Woodard for the girls team and Mr. Tillman's for the boys team. So they announced that last week. And that's all I got.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Long. Any questions for Mr. Long? All right. Assistant Director, Mr. Bruce.
Thank you, Mr. Pike.
You're welcome.
As he said, the Civitan has canceled their spring season. The middle school played maybe 6 games or so. They probably played the most games in the park. The middle school baseball, I believe, played 2 games. So they're basically offering all those parents and stuff refunds. Same thing with Civitan baseball, Civitan softball. Brian Whitaker sent an email out to all the parents. They've got certain dates that they can either get a refund and or credit towards next year. So from talking to Brian, it came up to a situation where they had to make a decision, and it seemed like a lot of families needed that $150 to pay for bills and groceries and stuff. So they went ahead and made that decision, which I thought was a good decision. I think we talked since basketball, but basketball finished up. We've talked to Civitan about some ideals for next year, and we'll have some more meetings with them before November about ideals, changes, upgrades, or whatever we want to do for basketball for next year. The hockey, they're on hold right now. They really haven't canceled anything, but with the situation, we've got the rinks closed. We got all Veterans Park closed, actually. So they're waiting to see when we're going to open and if they have time to do a abbreviated summer league or just go straight to the fall. The thing you've probably been waiting for the most, the senior men's softball. I know you've waited the whole hour for that. They are gung-ho and ready to go in a moment's notice. So as soon as we open up fields back up, I've been talking to Roy on and off a couple times a week, and they're very much still engaged, still want to do even a combined spring/fall season or fall. You know, as soon as we open it up, they will go.
Winner.
They're one of the few guys or groups, no more than 5 or 6, but you see out there taking batting practice every evening is those senior guys. Believe it or not, they practice more than anybody.
They still all chasing the dream. So
the other thing we've discussed with Civitan is summer and fall baseball. We're still looking at some options, combination, working together with them between our summer league and or fall league and working with them in some way or form. Soon to be the Civitan spring baseball season is taking one of the bigger hits in that they already had to spend probably $25,000 on uniforms. And so, you know, didn't give them out or anything, but they already had been printed and they were just about ready to hand them out. So we're working with them on trying to recoup some of those costs, at least possibly for 1 year, and what we could do to help them with the combination in the fall, working with them on league scheduling, umpires, and all that kind of stuff to sort of work together on that part of it.
Keith, would that be an in-house thing, or would that require us to make a motion on that?
Probably wouldn't hurt if you wanted to do a motion. Because we're still just in the preliminary stages. But just
we don't have to do it tonight. But I guess when you get ready, let us know, and we'll just make a motion on that. I think you're probably right. It would probably protect us to do that. So,
right. And hopefully this would just be a 1-year deal, so they can recoup or cover those costs for this year, and then go back to normal next year. Would be the ideal situation.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Bruce? I will say one thing about the basketball, because when they decided they were going to do it, I hope they have a better appreciation a little bit from running a league for you, what you've done in the past, what Andy walked into, and what Mr. Lamar has done for so many years, doing that league and running that league and running it as efficiently as we tried to run it and as we did. So I'm hoping that going out of that first year, they have learned some things that they can take with them. So,
yeah, the main thing they did figured out is they need more volunteers.
yeah. Yes. All right. If there's no more questions, Mr. Bruce, we'll move on to Mr. Gilly.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First thing I believe we probably need to do is set a meeting date for the month of May. The fourth Monday in May is Memorial Day. I don't think y'all will probably want to come in on Memorial Day night and meet. I don't it's up to you all, but we will need to meet either in person or on this Zoom.
Oh, what does everybody say? Do you want to do it the week before, guys?
18th is fine.
Why don't everybody chime in?
That's fine. It's Bubba.
Yeah, the 18th, fine with me.
I'm
Yep,
good
good
with
for
it.
me, PA.
I don't have a lot going on, so.
So, do we need to make an official motion to move it to the 18th?
Yes, sir.
All right, I make the motion, we move it to the 18th, May's Park Board meeting to May 18th.
At 6
Mr. Head
o'clock.
makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, take the roll, Mr. Gilly.
Mr. Head,
Aye.
Mr. White,
Aye.
Mr. Zettergren,
Aye.
Mr. Frank,
Aye.
Mr. Bennett,
Aye.
Pike,
Aye.
Mr. Bowler,
Aye.
Mr. Perry.
Okay. The 18th it is. All right, Mr. Gilly, proceed on.
A little bit of good news that I am allowed to tell you all about is we received notice today that we submitted a bid for the 2021 Tennessee Middle School Middle School Athletic Association, which is the middle school branch of the TSSAA. We did receive the bid to host the middle school state baseball and softball tournaments next May.
Awesome.
Creek Street. So that's a great thing for the city. I think Mr. Lamar can attest to the fact that it's submitting a bid package to them and then actually beating out places like Murfreesboro and Clarksville, and that's a good thing to do. You know, the question now is going to fall back on the Sumner County schools. You know, we have middle school baseball and middle school softball leagues here, but they are not sanctioned with the TMSAA like basketball and football is. So you may see some movement amongst the lower ranks of the middle school to try to get sanctioned so that our local teams would even have a chance to make it to the tournament. But we'll be the host whether they're in it or not.
That's pretty awesome.
Coach Carmen's already left on here. For baseball, we're going to use our Field 3 and Beach High School for one day, and then the second day, everything will be back in Drakes Creek Park. The Sumner County Tourism Board is helping us out with that, and the Board of Mayor and Aldermen voted to spend some money on it as well. So hopefully this will lead the way for us to bid on some other things in the future. I want to give you all an update. We've touched on several things as far as where we are with things being canceled, open. You all have seen all the press releases and everything we've put out. Still have several facilities that are closed. Our restrooms are still closed right now. Playgrounds are still closed. Skate park, all the Veterans Park. But we have a lot of things that are open. We're working on plans to reopen some things further as we're allowed to do by the governor's office. You know, right now it's still in groups of 10 or less. So it's not like we can say, hey, the park's open, everybody just come practice with your travel team or whatever. That's more than 10 people. We really don't have any guidance yet as far as the phases that they're talking about, phased reopenings when that becomes sporting events. You know, if let's just say the end of May that we're allowed to have a group of 50. Well, that basically is one baseball game by the time you have two teams and umpires, coaches, and fans. You know, that relates all the way back to things like tennis lessons and summer camp with Miss Hamlin. If we go through the month of July and they say no more than 10 or 20 in a group, be hard to have camp.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to do a lot of playing it by ear as far as what we allow to happen. The big thing, so as of right now, we have a lot of huge events lined up for June and July. Not many of those have been canceled as of yet. I think everybody's in a holding pattern. From all the bigger tournament people I've talked to, they're kind of waiting on June 1 to make a final call on some things. You know, travel baseball and travel softball people are going nuts right now. They're ready to start playing, but we're just not sure who's going to be able to do what yet. And a lot of it's going to be determined by crowd sizes. And then, you know, we're not going to sit here and ask our staff to be down there with a clicker counting 50 people either. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of like with the restaurants. The governor has said restaurants could be open at half capacity, but then he says police and fire are not really supposed to be going around checking that. It's kind of the honor system. But, you know, in today's world, social media, as soon as we open something up and there became 51 people, somebody would take a picture of it and count heads and post it everywhere. So we're going to have to be really careful.
Yep.
Somebody at some point, some city somewhere or some state is going to have to be the first one that punches the go button on athletics. I don't know if that's going to be the PGA Tour, the soccer, baseball, the state of Georgia. I don't know who it's going to be. Somebody will punch the button. Maybe us. Who knows? But I just wanted to give you all that update. If anybody has any questions on any of that, I want to tell you, I complimented the maintenance staff earlier. The office staff has been tremendous. You know, for the large majority for the past 6 weeks, they've been working from home. Our IT department has made that possible since the whole month of April into March. Basically, it's been me and our secretary Kristen in the office, and then these other folks would come in as needed. It's just easier for me to work in the office and answer phone calls and do things like that, and they're able to do most of what they need to do remotely, and they've done a tremendous job doing everything. I want to compliment them. I hope we hadn't skipped a beat. I don't feel like we have, so that's about all I've got. If anybody has any questions about anything, I'll take them.
Any questions, anybody? Comments? I will say two things. One, I want to, as I did commend those, I want to commend the staff. We have an excellent staff. Mr. Lamar had an excellent staff before. Mr. Gilly, you've got an excellent staff. Y'all run the whole thing well, and I don't think we have missed a beat. My other thing is, have we had, I know we discussed this the other day in our little practice run, have we, since everybody's antsy now, because you can tell it in traffic, you can tell it everywhere, have we had any issues with some of those travel teams trying to practice and being run off the fields by police officers?
No, we have not. The ones I've seen down there, we clearly have had people down there practicing, but the ones I've seen have been 5 people on the field or and then a couple in a batting cage. Or
so they are following the rules then.
From what I've seen, I mean,
okay.
You know, as it gets on into the middle of May, if some of these travel tournaments and things start saying they're going to have tournaments in May or June, then we'll probably have a little problems with it. But
yeah, okay. All right. So anybody no more questions for Mr. Gilly? All right. I guess it's time for the round table. Mr. Bolt, you haven't said anything tonight. Have you got anything to add?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bolt. How about you, Mr. Head? Mr. Head?
I'm good.
All right. Mr. White?
No, sir, I'm good.
Mr. Franks?
I'm fine, thank you.
Mr. Bennett?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you, though.
How about you, Zach?
I just wanted to extend a public thank you to the parks office staff and maintenance staff. Everything looks great, and I know the citizens are very pleased and looking forward to using it even more. So thanks for working through this time.
All right. Mr. Bowler?
Nothing from me.
Mr. Perry?
Not really. I just want to second what you and Zach and Mr. White said about the parks guys. I'm down there real early most mornings, and the dew's still on the grass, and them guys are out there getting after it. So we got to thank those guys, and I know you all are. Andy, thank you guys. The guys up at the city hall, y'all are awesome. Appreciate y'all.
And Mr. Lamar, I thank you for joining us tonight. Do you have anything that you want to add or anything?
No, one of the things that you guys have mentioned with the park staff that I've mentioned to all the staff, the fire, police, codes, planning, we hadn't missed a beat in the department. And that's one of the things that we haven't got any complaints from the citizens of us slacking and not doing our jobs. And I would commend all the departments and everybody for doing what they need to do through this COVID event that we never have had to deal with before. And you guys and every department head and staff has done a great job. And so I appreciate all of those guys doing what they're supposed to be doing. And we're just going to have to just play this thing a week at a time, just kind of see where we are. And I appreciate all of the support. And, you know, we're going to get through this. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Lamar. Two things. I just want to tell everybody, I hope everybody stays safe. I hope the family stays safe as we go through these trying times. And please, everybody, keep Mr. Heston and Miss Heston in your prayers. I know he is, him and her are going through a hard thing right now. And I hope they can get through it. And I guess I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, you got Alderman Hayes is sitting on here with us. You want to let him say anything?
Yes, Alderman Hayes. I'm sorry. Yes, I didn't know.
Thank you, Mr. Gillian. Thank you, Chairman. No, just thank you all for letting me listen in on y'all tonight.
Hey, anytime you want to come to one of ours, you're welcome. So.
Appreciate you all.
Thank you. All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Bubba.
Bubba, how about a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bennett, second. I think we stand adjourned. See y'all guys.
Mr. Zettergren.
Oh, Zach, I'm sorry.
I got to call the roll now. Let me call the roll.
Oh,
Give it to Zach.
Excuse me.
Motion made by Mr. Perry, second by Mr. Zettergren. Mr. Head?
Aye.
Mr. White?
Aye.
Mr. Zettergren?
Aye.
Mr. Frank?
Nay, I'd like to spend about another 2 hours with you
I'll
guys.
put it down. I'm going to put it down as a no.
I don't think so.
Mr. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Pike?
Aye.
Mr. Bowler?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
See y'all next month.
Put
Thanks,
that
y'all.
backdrop back up there, Wade. That was awesome. Yes. Look at my boy Dennis.
That's a nice
All right.
hat, Mr. Hayes. That's
All
good.
right.
Thank you, Mr. Gilly.
Look
See you
good.
guys.
Y'all be safe.
Good job.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Oh, goodness, what a fight.
Okay.
Come back, talk to you. I know. This one's fine now. And check out the one in the back again. Yeah, back.
I just got off the phone with Jack and Sylvie from the Kavanaugh campaign. They said the lake house is exactly that. It's the second home of a wealthy businessman from Kansas City named Charles Wilkes. He made a fortune in agricultural equipment.
Wilkes.
Mm-hmm.
You gonna make me ask you? I know you got more.
Missouri is the only state in our union that has no limit on personal campaign contributions, which means that someone like Wilkes can virtually run state government based on who he backs. So if you want to get something done,
You go to the lake house, yeah. What's this guy's politics?
not ours.
Not ours. Charles Wilkes is a union busting right to work tool bag. Well, it does have a couple of things on social issues worth listening to.
Like I said, not ours.
Yeah, but ignore that.
His office just left me on